Vintage video games are more than just pixels on a screen. They're like time capsules from a golden age, and those old cartridges are starting to fetch a pretty penny. We're kicking things off with a real heavy hitter, Super Mario 64. Back in '96, this game blew everyone's minds. It was like jumping into a cartoon with colors so bright they could melt your eyeballs. And those 3D controls, revolutionary. It's no wonder this game became a legend. But get this, a sealed copy of this bad boy sold for a whopping $1.56 million. That's right, someone actually paid more for a video game than what most people make in a lifetime. It just goes to show Super Mario 64 wasn't just a game. It was an experience. It changed the way we played and proved that our plumber pal Mario could conquer anything, even the third dimension. Now, let's talk about the holy grail of NES cartridges, Nintendo World Championships. This ain't your mama's Mario, folks. This was a limited edition cartridge made specifically for the 1990 Nintendo World Championships. We're talking super rare, like finding a unicorn riding a Bigfoot rare. And the gold variant, forget about it. Only 26 were ever made. This thing is the stuff of legends, the kind of cartridge that collectors would trade their firstborn for, and some have a mint condition gold cartridge sold for over $200,000. That's enough to buy a house, a car, and a lifetime supply of Mountain Dew. You ever hear of a game becoming valuable because it was a total flop? Well, buckle up, because that's the story of stadium events. This NES fitness game tried to cash in on the whole aerobics craze, but it crashed and burned faster than you can say Power Glove. See, it was recalled and re-released under a different name, making the original stadium events cartridges rarer than a sober Irishman on St. Patrick's Day. And now, these things are going for crazy money. We're talking upwards of $30,000 for a complete copy. Who knew sweating your guts out could be so profitable? Super Mario Bros., the OG, that started it all. What can we say about Super Mario Bros. That hasn't already been said? It's the game that made Nintendo a household name, the game that introduced us to the Mushroom Kingdom, the game that taught us that princesses are always in another castle. This game is a cultural phenomenon, a nostalgic nuke that melts away your worries and takes you back to a simpler time, and it's also worth a fortune. Early sealed copies of this bad boy can fetch over $20,000. That's because this game isn't just a game, it's a piece of gaming history. Red Sea Crossing, the biblical bargain bin find. Now here's a game even I haven't heard of before. Red Sea Crossing is an Atari 2600 game that's shrouded in mystery. It's like the Bigfoot of Atari games with only a handful of confirmed sightings. But unlike Bigfoot, this game actually exists, and it's worth a small fortune. This religious-themed game was created by some dude in his basement back in '83, and for years people thought it was just a myth. Then, bam, a copy surfaces at a garage sale in 2007 and sells for over $10,000 a few years later. Who knew Moses and the Red Sea could be so lucrative? Birthday Mania, the personalized cartridge that's worth celebrating. Remember when you were a kid and you thought getting a personalized license plate was the coolest thing ever? Well, how about a personalized video game? That's right, Birthday Mania for the Atari 2600. Let you put your own darn name on the title screen? It's like having your own custom-made game, which, let's be honest, is pretty freaking sweet. But here's the kicker. Only 10 copies of this game were ever sold. You're more likely to find a sober college student during spring break than to find a copy of this game, and if you do find one, be prepared to shell out around $6,000. That's one expensive birthday present. Air Raid, the Blue Bomber of Atari games. You know, a game is rare when it's found in a Goodwill store and instantly becomes a collector's item. That's the story of Air Raid, an Atari 2600 game that's as elusive as a sober Charlie Sheen at a casino. What makes this game so special? Well, for starters, it's got a blue cartridge. Not just any blue, mind you, but a bright, almost turquoise blue that screams, "I'm rare, come find me." And find it they did. A boxed copy of this bad boy was discovered in a Texas Goodwill and sold for over $10,000. So next time you're scrounging through the bargain bins, keep your eyes peeled for a blue Atari cartridge. The Legend of Zelda First Edition, the gold standard of adventure games. Listen up, nerds! We're talking about the game that started it all, The Legend of Zelda for the NES. This game was a revelation, a sprawling adventure that let you explore vast world, fight monsters, and collect rupees to your heart's content. It was groundbreaking, influential, and most importantly, a ton of fun. And now, it's one of the most valuable video games ever sold. A sealed copy of this classic went for a jaw-dropping $870,000. That's right, someone paid almost $1 million for a game where you spend half your time cutting down bushes. Mega Man First Edition, the Blue Bomber's explosive debut. Mega Man, the game that taught us that robots can be both adorable and deadly. This NES classic is a masterclass in platforming perfection with challenging levels, memorable bosses, and a killer soundtrack that will get stuck in your head for days. It's no wonder that the first edition of this game is now worth a small fortune. We're talking upwards of $800 for a complete copy in good condition. And if you're lucky enough to find a sealed copy, well, get ready to cash in, because those have been known to sell for over $70,000. Final Fantasy First Edition, the RPG that started a legacy. Before there was Final Fantasy VII, before Cloud and Sephiroth, there was just Final Fantasy. This NES classic introduced the world to a whole new type of RPG, one with a sprawling story, memorable characters, and a turn-based battle system that's as addictive as it is strategic. And guess what? This piece of RPG history can be yours for the low, low price of $6,000. That's right, a mint condition first edition copy of Final Fantasy can fetch a hefty price tag. Tetris, Sega Mega Drive version. The block-dropping Bonanza that's worth millions. Tetris, the game that's as simple as it is frustratingly addictive. But did you know that there's a version of Tetris that's worth more than your house? I'm talking about the Sega Mega Drive version, which, due to some licensing shenanigans, was only released in extremely limited quantities. How limited, you ask? Try a handful of copies. That's right, there are only a few known copies of this game in existence, making it the holy grail for Tetris collectors. And if you happen to find one signed by the game's creator, Alexei Pajitnov, well, then you've hit the jackpot, my friend, because that's worth over $1 million. Atlantis II, the mythical cartridge that's rarer than a unicorn riding a dragon. Ever heard of a game so rare that most people don't even know it exists? Well, say hello to Atlantis II for the Atari 2600. This game is like the video game equivalent of the holy Grail, shrouded in mystery and rumored to be worth a king's ransom. So, what makes Atlantis II so special? Well, it was never actually released to the public. It was created for a private competition back in the 80s, and only a handful of copies were ever made. It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket of video games. And if you're lucky enough to find one, you can expect to pay around $3,000 for the privilege of owning it. That's all, folks. So there you have it, nerds. 12 vintage video games that are worth more than your car, your house, and possibly your entire family combined. It just goes to show that those dusty old cartridges in your attic might not be trash after all. They could be your ticket to a life of luxury, a way to finally afford that replica Power Glove you've always wanted. But be warned, the world of vintage video game collecting is a dangerous one. It's full of fakes, frauds, and people who are willing to do whatever it takes to get their hands on a piece of gaming history. So be careful out there, nerds, and may the gaming gods smile upon your collecting endeavors.